Accept. Oh, hey. Look at you with the flute.
Hey, Larissa.
Hello, hello, Jerome. How you
What's
doing
going
this?
on? What's going on, Cheyenne? What's happening? I see it's a bright and sunny day out there, Cheyenne.
It is. You know me. I'm in the desert with the sun. So blessed. You know.
In the
It's
in the des.
yeah. It's been such an interesting transitional season. So I'm grateful to be, just grounding and in the sun, in the light.
You said it's been transitional?
hmm
What's been one of the greatest transitions?
I I've slowed down so much,
Mhm.
so much to the point where like like hyper intentional with my movements. I've really been finding like true soul family out here in Joshua Tree that's just like creating the space. I don't know, for me to just like completely be out of fight or flight like consistently and like really ground into who I am without needing to do. And I feel like for a while I haven't really had the space to chill out because of being in the van. I'm kind of on go a little bit, you know. Did we freeze? Hello? I lost Jerome. What happened? Is it just me? Should I restart the live?
We're
Oh,
back.
we're back. We're back. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I was wondering. I don't know what happened either. It just said the live has ended. It just told me it ended.
That's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
weird. For me, it was just like where you were was just gone.
hmm But we're back. But go ahead. You said you'd just been in the van. That was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I've just been transitioning. Like I don't know, van life was getting a little chaotic for me, moving around too much, and then after getting my car broken, and I was like just a little shaken up. And so I've been rooting more like around community and like just staying with other people in their spaces.
Mhm.
And that just made me realize I was kind of just like even within my regiments, I was going a little too fast, you know. So I've been
Mhm.
just doing a lot of sitting with myself, you know, and like only doing the things that I want to do and create.
Right.
You know, the last 2 months has been me actually prioritizing doing nothing.
Right. Okay. So, the prioritization of relaxation, when you were in the go mode, what do you feel like you were doing too fast or too quickly?
Everything, you know, like I just like had this idea of like what I was supposed to be doing and like or like this like something was pulling me, you know, and like I feel like even slowing down, I was like slowing down to go fast. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it was like this realization I've had the last couple months. I was like slowing down to just slow down. Like, what's the rush? Like, where am I going?
Right.
You know? It's like I know where I'm going, generally, like my dreams and stuff, but it's like, leaving that, like, there's all these divine things that happen all the time, and I'm just like leaving that space for that to happen more and like actually trusting. And like, that's why I wanted to have the conversation with you today, too, because it's just like, as I slow down, it's like some of my regiments, like they're needing to be expanded because I feel like I'm just sitting with so much more.
Right. Right.
You
Because when you said, not rushing and slowing,
hmm
where were you going? Where did you think you were going when you were in such a rush?
I don't know. I think to success or like stability or like this idea of this illusion of security, I feel like is what I was, going for
Okay.
more. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like abundance, like I have to build this thing or something, or like find the right people to build something so I can be a part of something that's like worthwhile. You know what I mean? And like just feeling like I needed to keep moving, and if I didn't keep moving, I was gonna like miss out or like not meet people I was wanting to meet, or like, do you feel me?
Okay, like the fear of missing out, like people call FOMO, that
Yeah,
fear.
kind of like that, where it's kind of like, you know, like, well, if I just sit here and do nothing, like nothing is going to happen type of vibe, you know?
Okay, okay. That's interesting that you say that, Cheyenne, because when you talk about, you know, the concept of success or even security or even stability, you know, how does that feel for you when you think of those words? When you think of security and stability, like how does that feel within you?
Grounded, which is hilarious, right?
Why?
Well, because I'm always like moving to get this like stability and security, but like what I really want to feel is grounded, which is just sitting, you know, most of the time.
And that's when you feel most grounded?
I feel like so. I also feel like doing something in trance also makes me like be like a further groundedness. You know, when I could bring that stillness into a still activity.
Okay.
You know, which is why I find qigong to be so powerful for me. You know, because it's like a slow action.
Okay. And having that slow action, is that the reaction of the slow action? Like, do you feel when you bring that stillness into the still activities, do you feel more stability?
I do, yeah. You're so Scorpio, bro. I love you.
Why? What?
Because you just ask these like pointed questions that like give me like, I don't know, just give me a little bit more stillness, you know?
Why is that Scorpio?
Because I feel like it just like it's like you see the things that are in the dark without pointing, and you like bring attention to them without pointing them out directly. You like do a poetic way, for me at least. It seems like a lot of things you say are so neutral, of like just actually being interested in another human and like what they're processing, that it just like makes it just brings themselves to the surface. You know what I mean? I feel like that's very Scorpio, personally.
I didn't know that was a Scorpio trait.
I think it might just be my idea of the energy.
And I mean, because I am interested, and I love listening to you when you're speaking and you're expressing yourself in these ways, and just allowing yourself to see yourself in new
Yeah.
ways. You know?
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to hear, and I remember that when I saw that you wrote on Know Your Roots, when you said you created the song Know Your Roots in 2020, that was like a reminder for you to sit, to not get lost in the sauce,
Yep.
you know, to breathe, to relax, and to just come back.
Yeah. That's why I was curious, like, you know, like, do you ever have those days where, like, you're like steadily in your regiments and you're quote unquote like doing the things or the not doing the things, but like there's just things itching at you, like there's just something itching, and you're sitting there and you're like, well, I can meditate for a couple more hours, I can do more qigong, but it's like I did these practices, you know, like they usually work, you know, it's like by working, you know, just like creating that flow. And it's like, what I was just curious, like what you do, Jerome, like when the flow shifts and it's like, you know, you still have those sediments, but like there's something, like, do you have that feeling of anything reaching out more to you, like, you know, within those moments where you kind of like, I don't know, it's like, I know the practice is still working, I'm still really grateful for it, but it like almost makes me have this other perception looking at it where I'm like, what's happening?
Right. You know, great question, and I want to make sure that I have your question correct. So you're asking me like, what do I do when things shift? So
yeah, like maybe when a practice doesn't like isn't hitting the same, and you don't want to like put it down, but you're like trying to like how do you interact with like the expansion of like stuff like that?
Right, great question. You know, it reminds me, one of my good friends, Sunrise the Divine, he says, like, when life switches the flow, find a new beat. That's what he said. He said, when life switch up the flow, you gotta find a new beat. And you know, I took that to the ebb and flow, like the ocean, the tide comes in, the tide goes out, that there's a rhythm. Even like, that's even one of the laws, that's one of the Hermetic principles, the law of rhythm, that there's an ebb and flow to life, and that we can synchronize with the harmony of nature, and that we can create beautiful music, but it doesn't mean doing one thing all the time, doing another thing all the time, that it can be a beautiful blend, you know?
Right.
So for, you know, I'll give you like a day in the life of me. It's
Yes.
like when I rise up, you know, I unzip my tent. Well, first, before I come out, as soon as I wake up and open my eyes, one of the things that I've been doing, Diane, is I've just been immediately grateful. Like, so I'll bend down, and I used to pray a lot because I was raised in the church. Now I say a prayer every day, and it goes something like, "Thank you, universe, that I am born. Thank you, universe, that I'm in the form. Thank you, universe, that chronic nourishment is my norm," or something like that, you know? And just the thing that I'm back in this vessel. Like, I was somewhere else in the app, and now, by grace, by whatever, you know, I still have work to be done. You know, I still have a purpose. So I've been put back in this body to be able to just experience this life another day, you know?
Right.
So when I unzip the tent, I come out, I go up, I do a meditation, and then I might get some tea, and I'll play Sudoku. So Sudoku is one of the brain games that I'll do for like my mental. So just like, you know, we have food, but we also have, you know, brain food for the mind, you know, food for thought.
Yes.
So this is something that exercises my mind, but also Sudoku, as I'm puzzling it out, it's also relaxing me. It's getting me into this mode of flow. I'm in the zone, you know, figuring out what number goes in this box. And it's increasing these little intangibles, the intangibles like, you know, being resourceful, the resourcefulness, the forthright, the endurance, the intuitiveness to be able to say what goes in this box. And then you're stretching, the muscles are flexing. So you're exercising the muscle of your mind, you know? So even in life, when situations come, when stress comes, when events come, when circumstances come, I have been so thankful that mindset was ready, you know? And it was all the small things that seemingly matter that I was doing every day that actually added up and added compound interest into just that one moment to make me be resourceful. And I never even knew that would amount to something, but I already laid the groundwork. You laid the foundation, you know?
It's like opportunity and preparation.
You got
My friend was talking about that this morning. Like, that's what success is. That's what Oprah says that.
right.
And it's like, it's so interesting, the experience of staying in that trust and that faith when you're doing those, you know, when you're like creating those sediments, you know, like, are there any moments where like, you know you should be doing the Sudoku, but like, and you know it's going to make you feel better, but you're kind of like sticky? And do you ever have those moments, like even after you've been grateful?
So now it's fun for me to do it, but I do hear what you're saying, where sometimes it's like, you know, you might be doing something and it's like, you know, because I'm like, the level I'm at now in Sudoku, I'm doing the hard, like
I know you are
real
too.
hard stuff. So like when I really get up against a wall, when the unstoppable force meets an immovable object and there's nowhere else to continue, then I just I let it go. You know, I take a breath, I let it go. I come back to it later. You know, but I try to force my way through it. You know, if there's no,
what does the process look for you with releasing that?
Yeah, so taking walks is good. You know, that walking is one of the, oh my God, if I could just tell people
take a walk.
like one of my favorite quotes, it says like, you know, if you if you're feeling crappy or if you're feeling down, if you don't feel your best, you know, go out and take a walk. And if you still don't feel good, then go out and take another walk. That's what it says. So,
I love
and,
that.
and, you know, what I like about this is we are bipedal creatures, you know? If you still have the wonderful ability to be able to walk on two legs, you know, if you still have that, like, that's a gift, you know? Before, it used to be like a chore for me to feel like, oh, I need to do more, I need to do more. It was a chore. Now it's a privilege.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get to do this. I get to bask in the sunlight, walk outside. I get to go to the park. I get to go in nature. And you clear your mind. One of the best ways to detoxify a lot of the mental baggage, a lot of the barriers that we have set up unknowingly, and you can have a breakthrough in a long walk. It's even biblical, you know? They talk about in the Bible, like Jesus was always walking. Always walking. He took long walks from here to there to there to there. He's always walking somewhere. And then people who saw him walking, they were walking with him. And everybody's walking, right? So I feel like something always comes from a long walk. It doesn't, it could be an expensive moment for your imagination, a new mode of creation. You could get an idea. They come out, kind of fly to you. They flock to you when your mind is not preoccupied, when there's enough space, you know, when you've space internally for something else to fly in. And
I love that.
it comes from nowhere. Yeah.
It's so interesting too how, like, I feel like, you know, that makes so much sense, so obvious, but it's like we get in these like energetic like imprints almost, I feel like, of like movements, and it's like it doesn't always leave the room open for spirit, you know?
Right.
But I love seeing, like, from what you're saying, like, it's like taking a walk is like almost neutralizing the energy of whatever is, you know, happening, because you're just like opening that space for spirit, for something that's like not planned, that's not like maybe created from you, which I feel like, you know, sometimes we can be a little bit like, I'm like, you know, an artist, and I can be a little bit too much about creating my reality all the time, where like I'm putting this pressure on myself where, you know, I'm like creating my reality through these practices, but it's like, am I really? Because I'm not like opening the door for like spirit to happen, and like, you know, it's like this both and of like creating, but then like the inaction that actually leads to creation too. And like,
yes,
it's interesting like how that can sometimes be uncomfortable, because a lot of the times like what you need, or like your beingness, is kind of, I find in this season of things, and with reality shifting the way it does, it like it doesn't always line up with like the structures I see outside of me, or you know what I mean. And so it's like, I don't know, I feel like on this journey it can be kind of interesting holding on to like what is working for you energetically versus like what you're seeing, you know, the masses doing and stuff. And like I feel like that's where a lot of my resistance, and that's why I like talking to you about this kind of stuff, is because it's like you can feel a little crazy sometimes when you're breaking energetic imprints of like what used to be and clearly isn't working for majority, you know what I mean? And so I'm curious to just like be prioritizing more walks for myself, honestly, because like it's still a challenge for me to trust and have faith that like me going on a walk will like energetically do what it needs, which I know it does because I've experienced it, you know what I mean? But I'm like, the more that I let go and go into a deeper, like, it feels like more free reality, where like as long as I'm super intentional, I don't have to go back to any old structures I was in, you know what I mean? And it's interesting. Like, I feel like I'm in an interesting phase where I'm like holding on to this belief of this new reality I'm coming into, which is always changing and shifting, you know? But sometimes I get these little energetic challenges where like it feels like it makes the most sense logically up here to do what I've done before, but really that's not it, you know?
You know, absolutely. You know, and it makes complete sense the way you say it, Cheyenne, because, you know, I think somebody told me something about how like different forms of relaxation. Relaxation can be like the mother of all creation is relaxation. And even walking can be like a meditation. You're in that mode. And I love the way that you described it, Cheyenne. You said creating the space for spirit. Right? You know, allowing yourself to hear it, creating the space
Mm-hmm.
for spirit, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that inspiration, you know, to be inspired is to be in spirit. I think that's where the word comes from.
Mm. No, definitely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like I've just gotten some affirmation just from like the little bit we just talked here, just because it's just like it's literally just that easy, but it's just so simple sometimes that it like breaks my mind down. But I feel like spirit isn't always in the mind. It's not in the mind either, but it's not in one place, which is the point, you
Right,
know?
right.
It's like if I go to qigong for it too much, then it's like it's kind of going to lead me somewhere else, it seems like, energetically. And it's like, yeah, it's cool to look at it more so as like, I can't remember what you said, but you were basically saying how like what sunrise was saying is like the different rhythms, you
Yeah,
know? Mm-hmm.
yeah. So flowing with the different rhythms, one of the things that has helped me, as unorthodox as it sounds, and as esoteric as this might sound, is I learned a yogic technique where I check my nostrils. You
Mm.
ever heard about this?
Mm. Maybe,
So,
maybe.
so you can check your nostrils, and if you hold down one nostril, like hold down your right nostril, and just kind of inhale through your left, and then hold down your left nostril and inhale through your right. And whichever nostril is dominant, they say that the yogis used to determine what they would do next in their day by the dominant nostril.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
right. So like the you know, the sun and the moon, there's different, you know, like with Nadi Shodhana, the alternate nostril breathing, you can kind of have a hemisync. You're synchronizing both hemispheres. But when you're breathing through the nostril, they would detect whether they needed to rest and relax or whether they needed to go into activity.
Mm.
So if the nostril is dominant and the right nostril is blocked, usually they would relax. They would use that time for meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, have that time for relaxation and feel into their sensations, you know. Then
Mm.
right nostril was more active, more dominant, but the left nostril was blocked. That meant that, okay, now this is a time for creation. This is a time for, you know, exhalation, activity, create, you know, doing things. But then,
Mm.
you know, once again, was blocked again, then inhalation, then take a step back, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, slowing down to speed up, right?
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
so that's,
Well, it's like the yin and yang too.
yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm finally like I feel like I've been very like my nature is very masculine, which kind of throws me because I feel like a very feminine person, and I feel like I'm opening up to this more receptive side, and it's like I'm coming out of like a deep restful period, and that's my right feels pretty strong today, which is interesting because yesterday I felt like I wanted to be creating, but I was like totally needing like just a little bit more rest and meditation. So thank you for sharing that tool because it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
if I can like use that as a tool to tune back into like trusting that I need to take a walk. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, my left nostril says that I need to take a walk. Slow down.
Just test it, you know, test
Yo,
it.
it'd be the little things like that that really like help me out because it's like
Yeah.
I'll be feeling crazy sometimes. And I'm like,
You're not the only, you know, you're not alone.
I
You're
know
not
this,
alone.
yo. I know that I'm not alone. I can feel it. I feel that I'm not alone. But you know, that's why I like talking about things sometimes. It's like I know that language can ruin the feelings of things, but I just hearing about like how you process things and like those little tools that you have, you know, just gives me something new to do to where I can lean into the trust of newness and like change,
Yeah.
you know, because change is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. When you speak, you know, Cheyenne, you paint pictures of like, you know, the chrysalis process of metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, change is uncomfortable. Somebody was telling me that when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it's not like just like caterpillar sprouts wings, becomes a butterfly. Like when they're in that cocoon, they literally become like mush. Like they
Mm-hmm.
become like nothing. Nothing. It's not like the caterpillar, but
Mm-hmm.
right? No, it's like
Right.
it in that cocoon. it's literally like it would be liquefied. If you open that cocoon, it'd be nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they go from that nothing into a whole new being.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Like
Right.
that nation, we can't comprehend what goes on in that cocoon. We have no idea, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So change can
Well,
be uncomfortable.
right. I think about dragonflies too. It's like they break out of like their own ecoskeleton,
Right.
like straight up, and like I don't even understand that either. It's like you either turn into mush or you're like completely like breaking through, or like crabs with their shells too. It's like this cracking open and surrender of like nothingness.
Right.
Like you have to be something in order to become something. And like I think that you can do that a lot of times. I think we should be doing that a lot of times. Because like as the seasons change and nature changes, it's like I don't know, just like there's just so much movement, and like I feel like the fascinating thing about this reality is that like we are part of this organism, that like we're such a part of it that like you can only get so objective, I believe, because it's like we're kind of biased in our own experiences. Like the only things we know are the things that we've experienced or come into, you know what I mean? And like who's to say that's the only thing there is to know, you know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of beautiful because it's like this nuance of going in between of like thinking and feeling like but really like there's nothing to know really, because it's like I'm here, in this body, and like there's just so much going on. I would lose this in order to even understand that, which I think that's that surrender to nothing, that restful state of just like seeing where the world's at, seeing what you see. Like, what am I seeing? Why am I seeing that? Can I reframe what I'm seeing, and then like, moving out of that frame of like, what do I want to create? Where do I want to focus on? I feel like the way that things are set up now, sometimes we can feel a little like crazy to take that like nothing, like to step into that nothingness again,
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. It's like when you talk about surrendering to nothing, it's like how they say, sometimes we have to lose our mind to come to our senses, and losing the mind to come to your senses, it's something that you can't grasp, you can't rationalize, but you know how you feel, you know how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I love Neville Goddard and like feeling is the secret, is because like I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of ways to get distracted from our feelings, and it's like feelings aren't always fact, but I think that they have a lot to say, and like it could be kind of scary to hear what our feelings have to say, because it's like easy to like have all these tools and to like be keeping yourself like neutralized and content with like these tools and like these regiments and like I don't know, just like these things that like you've declared are like the things you're supposed to be doing, but when those kind of start breaking down again and you start going into a new season, it's like it's nutty, we gotta like it's a beautiful process to be in, though. It's like we, as much as we know, we don't know, and to like always be like walking each other home to that so that we can be our most authentic selves in each moment, each season, like
yeah, absolutely. And on that level that you speak of, Cheyenne, another great thing that I love to do from time to time is allowing myself to see that authenticity on paper. So writing, journaling has been one of the most beautiful practices. I can't tell you how thankful I am that Jerome of years ago decided to write my thoughts, my ideas, my emotions, because now I can go back, I can open those pages, and the energy is still there. I can literally read like, oh wow, I was struggling with this and I was going through that, and I made it out of that, and I triumphed over this, and I had victory over that, and I was really depressed during this time, and that happened over here, and then I didn't know how I was going to make it that, and I didn't know what was going to happen over here, but then somehow I'm still here.
You just see all the oscillations,
You see it all. You see it all, and it's in the moment, in the moment, and you own it. Yours. So that's one of the greatest ways to get in tune with yourself, to get in yourself, and to also to see what's true for you.
Right. They say journaling is like talking to yourself,
Yes.
I think it's important to I always find it interesting, like in the artist way, you do like the 3 morning pages when you first wake up.
Yeah.
And that's been an interesting practice for me, just because it's like some days I don't even want to, but like what, like just the feeling, like when you don't think too hard about like what you're saying and just let that like fully come out. It's so interesting how much of a picture of like the feeling in the moment you can get, even if it's like riddled with nonsense, you know?
Right, right. That's Julia Cameron.
Yes.
Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way.
Mm-hmm.
I remember was what was her name? Surah. Surah. There was a meditation teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I took her course, a meditation course, and it was over like a month or so. But one of the things that she had us doing for that time was the 3 morning pages. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just 3 pages. You know, it sounds so simple.
It's, but some days it's like, oh my gosh,
Right,
like I have to do this thing.
right. You know, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, you got to the point where it was like the things were coming,
Exactly.
just coming. And it was like, at first it was hard to just, just to do like, a few lines, let alone three. But then after a while, you kept doing it, it became effortless.
Right, the juice starts coming out, you know, like after you squeeze enough, it's like, oh, there it is. Like something's bound to come out at some point. That's what's, I think that's what's funny is like when I start those pages and I'm like, I don't even want to write these, and that's like, that's what I'm writing, you know. I've had those days and it's like at the end it's like the most beautiful thing I've written in a minute. I'm like, good, okay.
Right,
You
right.
know, because feeling this is the secret, you know, and just like being with that but still like persevering through what you have faith in, you know what I mean? Like I've just seen that so many times. It's like having these like feelings and just like using these different spiritual tools. Like, no, I'm gonna do this qigong. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna go on this walk. Like, I'm holding down this vibration right now. Like, you know, like I want to talk more about that with people, just so like we know, like we all kind of going through these oscillations, and it's just
Mm.
holding the vision and like, you know, that little power, because like the power of choice is like always right there. You know, as long as you have breath, you have
Woo.
options.
Woo.
That's from the Hood Healer. That is not my line, but
Did y'all hear that? As long as you have breath, you have options.
yeah,
Oh,
Amani says that. Amani Cohen says that all the time. She's the Hood Healer, and it's just like, man, she be like dropping that line right at the right times.
man.
Like it's the truth.
Yeah. So I love that, Cheyenne, being able to extract the juice
Mm-hmm.
and remove the judgment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of let the judgment fall away like the fiber, in the back, like let all the judgment fall away, extract the juice, remove the judgment, and just, being able to let it go and let it flow and observe yourself from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, observation is just the most important thing, especially of self. You know, because when you can really like chill out into that, like yesterday when I was kind of like, I don't know, I was like, I'm doing nothing today. I need to do something. Like I over resonate with my Capricorn, you know. So like I feel like that kind of gets in my way sometimes. And then I was like, when I observed that, really, I was like, it's your thought of that is the only problem, Cheyenne. Like actually, you're chilling. You did all your regiments. I'm so proud of you, even in this funky energy. And it's like as soon as I was like looking at that, it's like, you know, it's interesting. You know, it's all the doors of perception. You know, and like how you're choosing to frame your story.
Mm. Yeah. You know what I love about you, Shai?
What?
You celebrate the small wins.
Mm.
You're not afraid to say that you're proud of yourself.
Mm.
You're not afraid to celebrate something that to someone else, like, well, little things are the big things.
They are, you know. I think thank you for saying that, because I think that's also just come from being a small person. Like, I can't tell you how many like people interact with me, and they're like the first couple of sentences they say, they're just like, "You're so small," and it's like can feel really demeaning. And so I think my whole life has been alchemizing like my experience of being like a small woman, you know, who like I feel very powerful. I feel like I have huge energy. I do have a huge energy, and it's just like to alchemize that is just like everything is just like thought. Like I just think about like I don't know, like bugs and how small they are, but they can like make a grown man like scream or be scared, you know what I mean? And just like things like that. It's like we live in a really like ironic reality where like there's all these like hysterical things that are happening that are challenging our own knowings, even in science, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just I'm just like keeping the door open for that all the time, and that's what makes me like appreciate simplicity, is because I'm looking for like the reason why, but not in like needing to like have the answer of why, just being curious of like what has happened, like what is this little thing, you know, like why is it here, you know?
Yeah. Isn't that what we do as children? You know,
Mm-hmm.
as children, isn't that what we
Yeah.
do? You
Yeah.
know, like what is this little thing? What is that little thing? We're
Yeah.
curious.
And that's what's so cool. I'm like finally playing drums, and like it's been what I wanted to do since I was like 5, and just hasn't aligned until now. And like I'm having this really funny experience with instruments now where it's like I see what made me not a good artist with music for a long time. And like I've always been good, everyone's a good artist, but like why I wasn't channeling the sounds that I felt inside. And it was because I was taking it way too serious, which is kind of just like a metaphor for my life. And it's like you're playing music, yo. And it's like, what the fuck? I'm actually like really good at drums, but it's just like, because it's like when I'm like loosening up my whole body and I'm just like, I can like hold the beat, because it's like fun to make it tight. It's fun to have it sound cool. And it's like, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I need to make this sound good, it's like, nah, this will be really fucking cool if I can do this real quick. Like, you know, it's like exuding that cool energy into like a hard task and slowness. It's like, it's not that serious, but this is cool. Like, I don't know, it's just like how we get more things done, and how like more, we're just supposed to be doing that with everything, even like, you know, walking.